Every team in the NFC East lost, took an L yesterday, except the Eagles. Eagles, half game out of first place. Let's do this. All right, now let's get on to the real problem of things here, people. Look, I don't want to hear anyone say how, like, the NFC East stinks. They're half a game out. Who cares? Who cares? Winning the division right now doesn't help the clear-cut problems get addressed that need to be addressed. And like I said in my previous weeks, and I'm trying not to make videos right after the games anymore because I feel I'm a bit more reactionary. I want to be a bit more calm, cool, collected, have my kid awake because, he's in the other room watching Blippi, so I, won't get too nuts. But, the Eagles settled for a tie yesterday, and I said to you I wasn't going to give them much criticism after the first 2 weeks because, this is a wonky season. In the first 2 weeks, you're really just finding your way. So by week 3, you should really start seeing the true feel of the team, getting a true feel for the team. And that true feel for the team feels like a big pile of baby doo-doo. This team stinks. But there is one thing that stinks so much more than anything else on this team. And I want you all to say it with me. The number one biggest problem on the Philadelphia Eagles is Carson stinking Wentz's head coach, Doug Pederson. I bet you thought I was going to throw Carson under the bus. Because Carson, although he stunk yesterday, let's find out. Kid. A front loader, that's good. Did Carson Wentz stink up the joint yesterday? Yes? Say it loud like you mean it. Yell it. Okay. Yeah. See? Yeah. Wow. Okay, so Carson Wentz stunk up the joint yesterday, but did Carson Wentz battle back with 2 huge touchdown drives, both under 2 minutes, one before the end of the half and one at the end of the game? Did Dak Prescott do that at the end of the game yesterday against Seattle? By the way, thank you, Seahawks. Thank you. Because at least those clowns can't celebrate. Anyway, thank you, Seattle. And no, I'm not trying to say Carson Wentz is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott right now, because that's a foolish comparison right now. You're kidding yourselves in Philadelphia if you're going to go down that route. But Carson Wentz, for all his missed layups, overthrows, had some clutch plays, passes, footwork, etc. Again, if you have a sub 2 minute touchdown drive before the half and a sub 2 minute touchdown drive with minutes left in the fourth quarter to tie the game and force it to overtime, how can you not dwell on that more than anything else? And that's not saying that Carson Wentz didn't have a bad interception that threw at one of the defensive end's hands and it batted up and got an interception off of that too. And some overthrows and some completely missed wide open guys, all that. Yes, Carson Wentz had a bad game, but he had 3 moments where he shined, because the third moment was that first time that they got into field goal range in overtime where he hits that huge third down pass to Zach Ertz in a perfectly placed pass. And it's I see plays like this and I'm like, Carson, just stay clicked like that. And he just gets unclicked and I just don't know what it is. I don't know if it's mental. I don't know if it's mechanics. But you see that he has the tools to get the job done. He has the instincts to make the right plays. And he could find guys like finding Greg Ward open on that touchdown pass. It's do that all game, man. You throw great passes and find the open guy in moments like that. And then other times you're just 10 feet away from the guy and, I overthrew you. I'm sorry. What happens to him? But going back to what I said, the number one biggest problem on this team is Doug Pederson. It's Doug Pederson, and I've been giving this guy the benefit of the doubt and not getting the wrath of criticism because I feel he's he's that guy that came here and won a Super Bowl. He's that big piece that is still here that won the Super Bowl. Now, I wish I could say that, Carson Wentz was at QB and he beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, but I can't because it was Nick Foles there. And now in retrospect, I'm seeing a lot more things. I'm finding myself questioning a lot of things that Doug Pederson did even in his good years when you see one of the biggest plays in the Super Bowl, in Super Bowl history, the Philly special, that touchdown on 4th down, the double reverse pass to Nick Foles in the end zone. You can't even give Doug Pederson credit for that because Nick Foles runs to the sideline when a timeout is called. Doug Peterson's looking at his play sheet I have no idea what I'm going to do here. Should we kick the field goal, I guess? I don't know. Should we go? Nick comes over and goes, I guess you're having a hard time picking a play, so how about we do Philly? And it was all mic'd up. Everyone saw it. And Doug has to sit for a second and go, yeah, okay, let's do that. Doug, you weren't even, let's be real, Doug wasn't even considering that as an option. It was just like a light bulb went off oh, that's a good idea. Thank you. Let's go ahead and run the play that you decided to do, Nick. Good job. Your backup quarterback called the play for you that went down as one of the most iconic plays in Super Bowl history. You can't even put that on Doug Pederson. So, it's I look in retrospect at things like that to, jumping forward to today where he's the play caller now. He's the guy calling the shots because there is no offensive coordinator. It's all on him. He's not a good play caller. It just goes to show you that Frank Reich and the offensive coordinating abilities that he had during their Super Bowl run was the guy that was the it piece for the offense because Doug can't call a good game offensively. He just can't. And I've seen enough to know enough now that it just ain't going to change. And you got to get someone in here. You got to hand off play calling. And Doug, I'm okay with you staying here. You can be the Jason Garrett clap, clap, clap guy on the sidelines. Okay, fine. You've at least done enough here with this franchise to earn a spot to stay here. But you can't keep calling games. You can't keep calling offensive plays. You can't. You're not good at it. I've seen enough to know that you're not good at it. And if anything, he should be criticized for having too much faith in Wentz. Because man, oh man, when you got Sanders tearing up the turf and you're still so reliant on getting Carson Wentz to pass the ball, and again, looking at things in hindsight now, I know, of course, hindsight's always 20/20, but I'm not going to put a lot of blame on the defense. And yes, the defense has given a lot of points. A lot of people are saying, what are you going to criticize Carson Wentz for? Do you see how many points the defense has given up? You see how many times that the corners got burned? Blah, blah, blah. Yes, I'm aware. There's players from top to bottom on this team that suck and that stink that have been blowing plays left and right. But, I saw the defense play a very good first half of football, not totally, but for the most part. And again, that first week against Washington, I saw the defense play a very good first half of football. That's 2 really good halves of football out of my defense in the first 3 games. That's not that bad. Yes, they've been crumpling in the 3rd and 4th quarter, but still, even yesterday, they were coming up with timely sacks and stops in the 4th quarter that kept the game constantly in reach to get one last touchdown drive out of Carson Wentz, and that's what you got at the end of the game, at the end of the 4th quarter. But you see the play calling where in the first week of the season, where you're up 17-0, the one thing that could turn that game around is given a team that did literally nothing right up to that point. The Redskins did, the team with no name did nothing right up to that point until you had to have Carson Wentz drop back for a pass when you're up 17-0 with minutes left going into halftime. You give the Redskins the ball because Carson Wentz has to throw the ball, which he should have had the option even for him, because if Doug's playing a good game, you run out the ball, run out the clock, take a 17-point lead in the halftime. and take the demoralized no-name team into the halftime going like, we can't do anything. Instead of, we just got a touchdown, we can win this game. Two completely different mindsets of that no-name team going into halftime. And you gave them the latter of the two. Because you had to have Carson Wentz drop back and throw a pass to your rookie wide receiver playing in his first game in the NFL ever. Intercepted by the guy covering Rager. So, that's Doug not calling good offensive plays. That's Doug. You should have just been running the ball, run out clock, take it into halftime, let a demoralized team stay demoralized. Instead, you gave them life. That's on Doug. Yes, Carson Wentz threw that interception, but the point is, Carson Wentz shouldn't have been in a predicament where he was passing the ball there. And then you demoralize Carson Wentz on top of that when he was playing a phenomenal half of football up to that point. And he comes out just like a guy that got kicked in the ding-dong. And he craps the bed in the second half of the game. And then you have in overtime, Carson Wentz had that huge drive to go into overtime to force a touchdown to go into overtime. And then a big, huge third down pass to Ertz. A beautiful pass, just over the shoulder, little basket catch deal for Ertz. Into field goal range for Jake Elliott. Sanders, again, has been running 3 and 4 yards at a time with no sweat. Keep handing the ball to him. Carson Wentz has to drop back to pass. Penalty, out of field goal range. Cincinnati had already had the ball. You're already in field goal range. Just run the ball. Get a little bit closer for Jake. I know it's not a gimme field goal, but you have a chance to end the game with a 40-something yard kick, and you're not content with that? That it's the better option to have to try and pass the ball? And then at the very end of the game, you're in field goal range, and it's not on Doug because an offensive lineman jumped off sides on the first field goal attempt. I say first field goal attempt because there should have at least been a second field goal attempt. I know there's 20 seconds left, and the armchair quarterbacks are going to be like, yeah, well then, if Jake Elliott misses that field goal, the Bengals are taking over. They have to make, 120-yard pass. They run out of bounds, and they're in field goal range. I mean, I'd like to think that the prevent defense was good enough to put up enough of a line of protection to make sure that didn't happen. But again, armchair quarterbacks will disagree with that. But the whole thing is that offside still set up a doable Jake Elliott field goal, which was, I think it would have been 1 or 2 yards past his longest kick, which I'm like, okay, why don't you try to do that? Because that game winner he hit against the Giants, I'm going to say it was like week 3 or 4, that Jake Elliott hit, it was only 2 yards beyond that, and that kick would have been good for another 2-3 yards. So it's like, you've seen your kicker kick from that distance. You've seen that he could potentially make that kick. You're not going to give him the opportunity. You're going to punt with 20 seconds left, which is basically saying, I'm not going to play for a chance to win because I know my kicker can potentially hit that kick. We're good with a tie. That is such a soft-ass, weak, pussyfoot way to go out in that game. When you have a chance to win in the NFL, you take it. And the fact that this guy is too much of a P-U-S-S-Y, I'd like to yell it really loud, but I don't want the kid repeating that to the mother. I mean, I can tolerate a lot of things, but man, being a coward, I don't know, man. Doug's got to have the offensive play calling taken away from him. He's got to. He can't be the guy calling offensive plays. He can't. And it's not saying he has to be fired, but at this point, would I really care that he's fired? No, not really. Not really. I mean, we'd be losing his services of calling bad offensive plays. And again, and that's not saying there's other problems that need to be ignored and just focus on Doug, obviously, because I want Carson to get his head straight and I'm rooting for Carson. But I'm going to criticize Carson when he's bad as well. And he doesn't look right. He doesn't look like a quarterback that's justifying the amount of money he's being paid. And don't give me the, well, what do you care? You don't pay his paycheck. He takes up a large clot of salary cap. Large clot? What the hell does that mean? He takes up a large chunk of salary cap. The hell is a clot? Like a blood clot? Is that what I was trying to say? What the hell am I thinking? Anyway, he takes up a lot of salary cap. So, yeah, that matters to me if he's not playing up to his level. And above everything else, I look at the next 3 games, San Francisco, Pittsburgh, Baltimore. Do you guys got a couple W's there? I mean, what are you going to try and tell me? Well, San Francisco's beat up. San Francisco just put up 38 points against the Giants. I know it's just the Giants, but still, you think we're going to do that much better defensively against the Giants? Like, okay, optimistically, we give up 10 less points than the Giants did. They did 28. What are we going to score, 14 at the most? It's still a very good defense. Like, you kidding me? I mean, we could be to week 7 and have 0 wins. 0 wins by week 7. Unless there is some major upsets. And this 3-game cluster was arguably the softest stretch of their schedule. I know there's some weeks you're playing the Browns and the Giants and stuff like that, but still these 3 games, playing the Redskins and the Bengals within 2 weeks of each other, it's a pretty soft schedule. And the Rams, I mean, they don't look that good, but they handled us. Sorry, just thinking about that game made me want to vomit. They handled us easily. Don't let the final score reflect you. The Rams handled us easily. So yeah, Doug Pederson, he's the one biggest problem above anything else on this team, and I am certain of that now. Certain. And again, it's not giving Carson Wentz a pass. It's not giving anyone on the defense a pass, especially that linebacking core that is completely irrelevant. But, man, you got Miles Sanders showing that he is the real deal. Carson Wentz shouldn't be throwing the ball over 40 times a game when you have a guy like Miles Sanders that is tearing things up right now. I get when you're playing from behind a lot that you're going to rely on passing, but for the most part, it's a 1-score game for most of the time in these 3 games so far. I mean, anyway, yeah, Doug Pederson, my confidence is shot in him. And my confidence is not shot in Carson Wentz. Again, I agree. What does the eye test tell you? The eye test tells me that he's playing like one of the worst quarterbacks in the league, but you still see those drives that look great out of him. It's not like he doesn't look completely bad from beginning to end. Because again, watch that final drive in the final couple minutes of the game, and yes, it was heavily aided by knuckleheaded penalties by the Bengals, but still, Carson Wentz instinctively took that ball, bootlegged around, and ran into the end zone and gutted out that touchdown. Same way he did in the final drive for the Eagles in the first half. Anyway, you want me to talk about scores from around the league too? I mean, Lions beat the Cardinals in a game that probably messed up everyone's betting pool, and Tommy and the Bucks won again. Okay, let's be real. You want to hear me talk about the Cowboys, don't you? Let's be real. The Cowboys' biggest problem is themselves, because that offense can get it done against anyone. That defense can lose to everyone. Because, man, they are averaging, was it 33, 34 points a game now in the first 3 weeks? That's pitiful. That's pathetic. That's pathetic. But in watching the Cowboys, I see that offense, and man, Michael Gallup is... Michael Gallup would be by far the best receiver on the Eagles, and I would put him, I don't want to say he's behind CeeDee Lamb yet, but I would be surprised by the end of the season. He's the considerable third best quarterback on that team, because CeeDee Lamb is coming up, and that guy's going to be a baller. And anyway, I see that team. I see them clicking offensively and putting up points, and they just do touchdown drives, especially in the second half of games. It's just no problem. Their biggest problem is they get down late early. They get down big early, and they just have to dig themselves out of a hole. And that's why you see Dak Prescott putting up so many yards, because he has to throw the ball. He has to do nothing but throw the ball the entire second half. So, of course, he's going to have good yardage. But even that final play of the game for the Cowboys where Dak Prescott threw that interception, that was still a miraculous play that he didn't go down in a sack there. And I watched that team and I'm just like, man, I would be okay with this team right now if I were the Eagles, because they're exciting to watch. And the Eagles aren't exciting to watch. That game yesterday was boring. For the most part, it heated up near the end. From the fourth quarter on, it was, at least got my heart pumping. But it was a snooze fest for the most part. And it's if I'm going to have a bad team, I at least want to be entertained. At least the Cowboys are entertaining. I don't know, whatever. Just who cares? They lost. They took an L anyway. And the Cowboys should be 0-3. That's the crazy thing if it wasn't for the choking Falcons of Atlanta. But, my God, I've talked on over 20 minutes so far. Aaron Rodgers looks legit, and the guy who I've always said I've always been jealous of, Russell Wilson, because Andy Reid wanted him and didn't get him in the draft 6 years ago. He is just he's I don't know how he's never won MVP in this league, because what he does as a singular player compared to what other really good MVP talents do, I compare him to Pat Mahomes. I'm like, well, yeah, Pat Mahomes has a lot better role players around him than Russell Wilson ever has. Let's be real. I would take Russell Wilson over Pat Mahomes in a heartbeat. And that's going even before this season. I'm not just saying that now because he has the most touchdowns that any quarterback has ever had after week 3. Though that may change after tonight. Now watch Pat Mahomes make me eat my words and throw up 6 touchdowns tonight. But anyway, yeah. Anyways, thank you, Seattle. Thank you, Seattle, for at least not letting the Cowboys celebrate. But let's be real, Eagles fans. We got three very tough games coming up, and we could be winless at week 7. 0-6-1. Am I doing the math right? Because they're 0-2-1. No, it'd be 0-5-1 after week 6, because these 3 games. Archfiend sucks at math. Going into week 7 is what I meant to say. Anyways, my failed math aside, Doug Pederson, hand the play calling off to anyone else. I don't care if someone wins a charity drive to be head coach or head play caller for a game. Give it to them. It can't be worse. But man, the Eagles very likely are going to catch 3 more losses in a row. So that's why it's you don't want to stick your chest out too bad. But we're just a half game out. Get back to me in 3 weeks and let's see how many half a games we are out of first place. Anyways, enjoy this 24 minutes of excursionness into football fortitude. And that was awful. That is all.